Hello friends, welcome to Third Stall Garage. My name is Doug, talking as fast as I can. I don't know why. Living life in a hurry. And this is
Dale.
We're working on Hendrick 66 Beetle Convertible, episode 40. And we are making progress, which we feel good about. Welcome, and let's see what we're up to today. You just watched the cheesy intro. Dale's commenting about how it's his favorite part.
I haven't seen my car drive for 3 years, so that's my favorite part of the video.
You probably fast forwarded it, but for Dale's sake, watch it once. All right, let's turn the camera around. All right, today's project, we are working on installing the front bumper. The apron is just held on with two little can't twist clamps, two little C clamps, and it seems to fit fairly well. The key thing that we want is those two bumper brackets and the overrider bars. Is that the right name, Dale?
Yeah, overrider sport, yep.
So this guy, we want him to go in there and be centered. We want this one to go in there and be centered, left to right, up to down, front to back. Everything's perfectly level, perfectly flat, at least parallel to the car because my floor is not perfectly flat. And then we want to make sure that the hood closes well. So a lot of measuring, testing, test fit before we get to the point where that little bumper bracket gets welded on the side and one gets welded on this side. So I think, short job welding the bumper brackets on, long, careful, really important job getting everything exactly the way we want it. And we will hope that goes well. So we're gonna get to it and we'll bring you back when we show you kind of how we've gone about figuring this out. Here's our progress update. Just got a bumper, which is kind of fun. The hood clears without any problems. Don't know if that was ever an issue or not, but we know it was an issue with the back. Most things are going well. We've got a couple challenges. We look at this gap here. We really hope to have the bumper bracket centered in the hole. And you can see that it is definitely to the outside. It's closer at being up and down, but we can completely control that with the jack. We've got a floor jack under this thin strip of 2x4. But the same thing on this side, that we're definitely outboard. We'd like to be centered or need to be centered in this slot. So getting those two brackets to move in is something we need to work on. This bumper bracket appears to have a little bit of a curve to it. Looks a little more that way in real life than on the camera, so I don't know if you can see that or not. So we're gonna take that off, try to straighten it. And then inside, our gray bumper brackets here seem to match up pretty well to the inner part of the wheel well. This one has a little bit of a gap here, more than on the ends. So we may need to bend this out a touch just to open up the angle of it. But right now we're gonna take these off. We're gonna put a washer between the bracket and the mount to shim this bracket toward the center of the car. So we'll add a washer in there. We'll add a washer between this mount and the bracket to shim this bracket in, loosen these up to slide it forward, straighten this one, slide it to the middle. Then we're gonna reassemble and see how we like it. Right now our overrider bars that go through these holes are a long ways from being where we want them. They do go in, they would mount there, go through the hole like such, and you can see that they're not lining up where that hole is. So we got to figure that one out yet. Especially because by the time I take that bolt out, it's going to get even farther away from that bolt. So our plan right now is to solve that problem later. And if we have to remanufacture, or not remanufacture, but if we have to modify those to get them to work, that would not be the end of the world.
We extended the rear overrider supports too.
That's right, we did. We added on to the end of them. So, you know, this is the part where we just need to be patient and go slow and get it as right as we can. So this will be, you know, the one of many times of taking it apart and putting it back together. Back at it. All right, progress update number 2. So we're getting closer, which is good. Let's celebrate that. Bumper bracket is closer to the middle, but it's still maybe 3/16 of an inch off of center, maybe a little more than 1/8, something like that. And on this side, we're looking pretty good. We're not perfect, but we're close. So to get there, you'll notice that there's a little bit of tape on there. We put 2 washers between the gray bumper bracket and the bumper mount. The tape is holding it in place. And then there are also 2 double washers in there. So that spaces us out, helps us push the brackets this way. Whether there is enough movement in these slots yet, don't know for sure. Same thing on this side. But we want to keep going until we get those 2 brackets centered in the hole. So now here's what we've been brainstorming about. Should we, so this bumper bracket right here is 2 pieces of metal. And they're spot welded together. Should we get a 3rd one and weld it on to the bracket back here? Where's my finger? Back here. Thus thickening this, so we added on the right hand side, which will then space this in further. And we decided what we would rather do is we're going to add a piece of 1/4 inch stock to this gray painted bumper bracket, making it thicker. So we are modifying the car so that a stock bracket will fit it. So we've got a chunk of 1/4 inch stock here. We're gonna take that out and we're gonna weld it to each of the bumper brackets. So, nope, we're gonna weld it to each of the bumper mounts. So they're a little thicker. Our brackets will come in a little bit, Lord willing. That will end up closer to center. That will end up closer to center. And then we can reassess kind of where we are. Hopefully that'll work. So we need 2 pieces of 1/4 inch steel that are 4 inches long by 1.5 inches wide. This is 8 inch spread out of 1/4 inch stock. So I'm gonna cut that with my prime weld plasma cutter. There we go. Prime weld. I love this little guy. Don't get to use it as much as I thought. So we'll set it up, cut a strip this way, and then I'll probably use my abrasive cutoff saw to cut them in 2 pieces. That looks about right. Okay. Sorry, I forgot to hit record when I started. Here we go. Take 2. And there goes the breaker. So this is approximately what it's going to look like. We will weld up the edges if this is what we go with. We're just going to tack weld it now. We'll weld up the edges and try to grind it smooth and blend it in. But we need to transfer those holes through. And so I'm going to use a transfer punch. It's an 11/64. And this just gently fits through the threaded hole and has a transfer tip on the end. Focus, there we go. So that will prick punch our hole there, and I'm gonna have to adjust the clamp slightly, and we'll prick punch it there, and we'll take it out, and then we're gonna drill a 3/8 clearance hole so that our bolt will go through the clearance hole, and then we'll catch the threads of the nut. So time to transfer that. I'm gonna put it in the clamp, the vise, just to hold it in place. Grab my favorite ball peen hammer. Transfer 1, transfer 2. Now I can take this off. If I look real carefully,
Yeah, you can see that.
got a little tiny prick punch there. I don't know if this is going to work in the vise. You can really feel when it's in the prick punch. I think I'm going to make that a little bigger by putting it on here. Then I can hit it like I mean it. Oh yeah, that's a nice prick punch. And now we'll throw this in the drill press and drill our hole. Good to go. Go. There's one.
All right, what you doing now, Doug?
All right, we've got our patches on, sprayed the back side of each with weld through primer, and now we're just going to put 2 little tack welds in the middle of each one, so we can easily take it back off if we don't like it. And but if we do like it and it works well, then we'll weld all the way around it and smooth it out and blend it in so it looks really good. So 2 tack welds on a terry cloth towel, because that's the official welding service of the surface of the U.S. Olympics. One. Just proving I can count. Two.
Bolt it up and see what happens.
Hello friends, it is the end of our 3rd stall night, and we got a lot done. Feels really good. You may wonder what in the world we have going on here. And if you have solid ideas or opinions or knowledge about exactly where a bumper should be oriented on the front of a late 60s Beetle. We'd love for you to post a comment below or shoot us an email. We're trying to figure out exactly what should be vertical or what should be level. Everything is round on these cars. So for fun, we took some wooden dowels and clamped them to this bumper. What's this called? Overrider?
Yeah.
No, whatever.
I'm not sure.
You know, is the two tangents or the tangent of those two curves, is that supposed to be vertical? We clamped another dowel on the inside of, like if you made a plane from the back side of the bumper, top to bottom, vertical. Is that supposed to be vertical? As you can see looking back, one tilts forward and one tilts back a little bit. We also put a piece of bar stock steel across the bumper brackets and then put a level on it. And we're looking at trying to get level front to back. And you can see that we are pretty close to level there. We're a little bit off on the other side. And then left to right is pretty close to level too. So we are thinking that that might be a good location, that the bumper itself is what it is, but getting those two bumper brackets to be level left to right and level front to back. We do have plenty of clearance for the hood coming down. We don't have the fenders on yet to make sure that the front of this misses the fender. We should maybe test fit those, although it gets a little bit hard because we got all these clamps in the way. But the dimension from the front of the body out to the bumper, we don't have. If anybody has, you don't want to measure your car and let us know, that would be great. We do have adjustment in the slots on those bumper brackets where we could adjust the bumper in and out if we needed to, but we would like to get it close. But we're going to call that a very successful night. We've got a lot done. We've got the spacing left to right figured out. So those brackets are centered in the gap. That bracket's centered up pretty nicely over there. And I think we're going to sit on it for a week, hear what you have to say, and then, Lord willing, next week, tack weld our bumper mounts in. Am I missing anything, Dale?
No, I think that's it. That's getting the front clip. Easy step number one.
Easy step number one. 6 easy steps.
The goal is to have the front clip, in my mind, have the front clip finished by Thanksgiving. So we've got a couple of weeks yet. Not even November. So
if we get the bumper brackets, the bumper mounts tacked in next week, then we can move on to the apron. Mm-hmm. Good stuff. Thanks for following along. Have a great week, folks. And tell your mom you love her. Good night.